You're listening to Paratalk Radio with Ted Wolf and Psychic Cindy on Paratalkradio.com, a member of the WLFE digital broadcast family, and is intended for listeners over 16. The topics, views, and opinions expressed on our show may not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Paratalk Radio, our hosts, or our sponsors. Now, here are your hosts, Ted and Cindy.
Wow, that was a little loud, but I tried to catch it just in time. So, welcome everybody to Paratalk Radio, and there is Miss Psychic Cindy.
Hi, everybody.
Putting on your little lip gloss there, dear.
Mm-hmm. I did. I forgot to
get your little lips all nice and shiny.
Mm-hmm. Shiny, hiney.
Well, tonight we have a great guest for you this evening. Very excited to have him here with us. We have met. Well, actually, I know Cindy had a nice conversation with him at Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, and I know I spoke to you a couple times, Justin, but it wasn't like the conversation that you and Cindy had, which was cool. But Mr. Justin Brown is joining us here from Interface Death, and we're so excited to have you here tonight.
Thanks for having me, guys. I've been looking forward to this.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
Can I say hi to some people that I have here?
Sure, go for it. That's your job anyways, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't have everybody, but because you are doing a watch party, I should do a watch party too, but it would be on my phone. I don't like when we do watch parties because it doesn't show the comments in our stream.
Right.
That's the part that's frustrating.
It is a little frustrating, but we'll go. You go for it. What you got, dear?
Okay. I have hi, Missy Vastine. Hi, Josh Bender. Hi, Derek Schreiner. Hi, Jamie Gamber. Hi, Barry Martz. Hi, Bill Davis. Hi, Diane Reamer McCarthy.
Yeah, Diana, we haven't seen or heard from you in a while. We love you and miss you. She's a part of the Genesee Valley Paranormal Investigators teams. Love her. So we are Teddy's trying to get a watch party started so that we do have that extra on there. But guys, you know how this works with Paratalk Radio. We're here to have a good time. We're talking paranormal stuff. And to me, it just seems like, why not get one of those guys in the field that is out there doing it, and why not? So good evening, Sin City Paranormal. So Justin, like I said, welcome to the show again. Let's start right off with what got you into the paranormal and how long have you been doing it?
Well, it's not a short answer. Good thing.
Thank God it's a 2-hour show.
Yeah, good thing it's a long format. So I don't like skipping over the things that really convey my story, because I think my story is pretty unique and the individuals involved. But it all starts with my mom. She's a very talented individual, similar to Cindy. She has metaphysical qualities. And on the spectrum, it's high, extremely high. And alien abductions, ghost encounters, time slips, all that Fortean crap just baked into my upbringing. Okay.
Lord have mercy. I thought my kids had it bad.
Well, I can't speak for your kids, but I had it pretty bad. And ultimately, I thought my mom was just crazy, right?
I'm sure my kids do too.
And she would tell me just the craziest stories you can imagine, just everything across the board she was telling me about. And, a lot of them I was terrified about. A lot of her stories involved a 300-year-old farmhouse she grew up in.
Oh my gosh.
Sleeping over on Christmas Eves and visiting some parts of the house. I spent a lot of time there. It was creepy. And I was scared. I was a child that was, genuinely scared of all this stuff, because I feel like everybody has psychic ability at some point, at some level. And even if it's psychological front loading, when you're presented with all the stuff, you're going to have this, there's someone looking at me feeling, or this fear of what's behind that door or in that closet type feel mixed with this old house in rural Ohio. I was just like, it wasn't a good recipe. So I grew up with my mom's stories, and about my mid-20s, I started having my own experiences that involved my son and some other friends. But we moved into a house in Hillsboro, the southern part of Hillsboro, around 1990, and my parents purchased it from a local firefighter. Really nice house, suburb in a small rural community. And we moved in, nice house. We fixed it up. Nothing weird was going on. Well, about a year later, the firefighter, from what I know, started having marital issues to where maybe his wife was started seeing other people, and he didn't take that well. So he ended up eventually taking his own life as a result of that.
Oh
my
terrible.
gosh.
And it is. And what was strange was we started experiencing things at the house right immediately after that. The first thing would happen, just like in all typical hauntings as they start off, the footsteps, the weird vibes, feelings, presences in the room that would, make you turn or, make you feel strange. My father started hearing someone walk up and down the stairs where me and my brother slept on the second level. And he thought it was, of course, me and my brothers trying to sneak out of bed or mess around. So he would yell at us to get back in bed. He wouldn't get a response. And after several times of experiencing this, my mom was telling him it's not the boys. And he's like, well, it has to be. So one night he went up there to try to catch us, and we're both sound asleep in our bed. And he's scratching his head at that point. And she's trying to convince my dad, break it to him gently, that the gentleman who they had purchased a house from is back here because he had raised his boys with his wife in this house that we bought from him. I mean, just to give you a little bit of insight, when we would sleep, you would see where his kids had wrote in glow in the dark marker on the ceilings. And at night you would see the evidence of the lived in vibe of those bedrooms. And I always just stared at them wondering, who they are. It just felt like lived in, and it kind of felt strange in that way. So that went on for a while, and I'll fast forward to the point where I have my son, and we're living there with my dad. My mom and dad are divorced at this point, and it's just me, my son, and my father. Well, it's just me and my boy upstairs having a conversation. He's about two and a half, so he's just now starting to learn how to talk, form sentences to have a conversation. So he's starting to talk about a man that he's playing with, and he said his name was John. And my dad's name's John. So I'm like, okay, are you talking about your grandpa, John? He's like, no. He looks at me in my eyes with a straight face and says, no, John R., he's dead. It's the first full sentence my son ever said to me. And it, guess what the firefighter's name is?
John R.
John R. So his name has never been spoken while he was alive. It hadn't been spoken for, I want to say 5, 6, at least years, into the air. Okay. And at this point, I've experienced some things in the house. I've heard what my mother's told me about what might be going on in the house. She's, all this stuff that she's told me and all these events that's led up to this was like a singularity exploding in my mind. And there was no point from then on that I could doubt or try to push to the side to where, I don't know if I'm on board with this all the way. So I kind of like sit there trying to process that. I kind of walk away, leave him in his diaper, and I go out to the back porch to chain smoke for about 10 or 15 minutes. So that
no
was
longer
when,
able to dismiss it, huh?
no longer. And I started experiencing, once that happened, I started experiencing more. I moved into a house that my first child's mother's brother had purchased, and we were staying there for a while. And that was probably the most haunted place I've ever been. Activity every day, all day, extreme poltergeist activity. It was like the movie Poltergeist, literally was like that. I mean, not like the portal in the closet crap, but stuff moving around, flipping around, that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's coming on and off. So one night I'm sleeping in his guest bedroom and I can't sleep. The only way I could explain it is I feel like someone's standing in the room staring at me.
Mm.
And I flip on the light, and I'm looking because you could swear that someone's standing right there staring at me, but there's nothing there.
Wow.
So I
That's
start hearing this
crazy.
low, weird buzzing sound. I look out the window. I can't see any transformers making noises. I can't find a source, and I can't sleep. It will not let me sleep, whatever this is. So 4 o'clock in the morning, I had enough. I get my kid's mom and my kid up and drive 45 minutes to my mom's house so I can sleep. Well, this went on for 4 or 5 times, so I had enough. I just ended up moving in with my mom and staying there. Well, whatever it was had followed us up there and started doing that to my child's mother. And this is the second gear of what the F in the paranormal. Okay.
Right.
F? I love it.
Yeah. I'm going to try to keep the F bombs down because I can let them go. I can drop them like World
we
War
are
III.
rated M, and I know how to use my F bombs very well.
But I appreciate that though.
Yeah. we want to establish a level of professionalism here, right? So
whatever that is.
however you want to define that. So she gets me in the next room. I'm only going to bed at 4 or 5 o'clock by that time because I'm used to staying up. She's like, something staring at me through the window at my mom's house. I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. So I go out there. She makes me check. There's nothing there. I'm like, I can't see anything. I don't know what's going on. So she finally goes to bed. We go to bed. We wake up. Same time again the next night. She's like, there's something in the room. It's like, I had enough. I bust in there. I turn on the light. So this time I see this energy mass. You know how you look through water and it's, diffracting the water so you can see the waves and ripples in it. It looks like that. It's about this big, and around it is an staticky aura. Like it's like TV static. So I'm like, instantly I thought I was like having an acid flashback or something. I'm like, oh no. Because
wait, are you able to have an acid flashback, Justin? I mean, is that what you're telling us right now?
it is physically possible.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Okay. So you can read between the lines there if you want. So I think I'm rubbing my eyes. I'm looking, trying to, wonder if I'm hallucinating or not. So it's like, it's moving really strange, Cindy. And it's going like this. And I'm locked on it, right? So immediately after I see that, my mom had described these nature beings that look like balls of light. And when I moved in, she's explaining these things to me and calling them nature beings. And she made friends with them. They were freaking out the dog and everything. I thought she was crazy. So then I see these things, and it was dozens and dozens of them fly in. And now we're like level 5 acid trip now. They're floating into the room, and they're encircling this mass. So I'm like, I would literally think I was hallucinating if it wasn't for my kid's mom standing right there seeing this. Wow. And instantly this mass changes its behavior. It's no longer menacing. It's no longer feeling oppressive and trying to disturb you. It just starts to float off and goes out of the room. I turn and look, and it goes through the door and goes to the right. And then it creeps back in and it peeks behind the door and looks at me. And I get this impression it wants me to follow it. So I go into the room. I turn right. It leads me through the living room, to the kitchen. And my mom's room is off of the kitchen. So it leads me into her room, and it's just floating there in the middle of the room. And it's just sitting there. And I have this feeling like it wants me to walk into it. So I do that. Okay. So you've all had the feeling of the heat, cold, tingly sensation you get. Yeah. That's exactly what it felt. So I know, I can't prove this, but I know that whatever these nature beings did wanted to show me how this entity felt and how to protect myself against it. I can't prove this, but this is my belief. So later on in my life, when I'm doing this types of things now, I know what the feeling's like. I know, I know what's going on. So that right there was another moment where it's leading me into this field of the unknown, trying to explain, figure out what the hell's going on. Right. So fast forward to 2011, my dad drops dead at work at the age of 54. His heart explodes.
Oh my
And
God.
at that point, I was like, wow, I wasn't ready for it. I thought I had my spirituality check. I thought I was, I was prepared. But his dad died 3 months before him, and then he dies. So I get a heavy dose of mortality check. Death, death, death. What are you going to do about it? So I'm like, I can't get the vision of my dad bloated with the blood all over his face out of my head for a few years. And it was really messing with me. So I'm like, I'm starting to adjust to trying to figure out what is life after death. Can, my dad talk to me? What are these spiritual things that are happening to me? So I started watching the shows. I started looking up local paranormal groups. I'm ready to start trying to figure things out. So 2013, I get, a group together and, ask my friends to come along with me to hold cameras and, recorders and stuff. And that's when I first started to do what you essentially define as paranormal field research.
Okay, you need to put that message from Derek up because it was hysterical. Can you see that, Justin?
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of thing that you want to happen if you're in that situation. But that's not what was going on. Derek is on my paranormal team. He's the.
I knew he must be friends with you because I figured that he could chat and say those kind of things. It was just funny. So, see, intuitively, I just picked up on it, and that's why I wanted Teddy to put it up. It was funny.
All right, so I have some questions, but before I go there, I want to say hi to a few people on my watch party that have joined in here, just because I like to keep them all, to say hi to them all, just make them all feel really special for just a moment. Too. All right, so I'm going to go back here for a second, and we're going to say hello to Stefan, Allie, Angel, David Malone, Kenny Biddle, Clay Taft, Stephen, Mike Clark, Phil Simone, Adam, Barnhart, Scott Sutherland, Dennis Daniel, Jessica Bias, Derek Schreiner, which is your buddy there, right? Yep. Derek.
There's a few of them in there.
Bill Davis, Angel Lynn, AJ Andrews, and Brian Wilson. Hello, Brian.
Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. What?
There you go. Michelle Green, Josh Bender. There's quite a few in there.
Hi, Dina Westfall. Hi, Chrissy.
Okay, cool.
Hi, Kathy DeGraw.
Yep. You said Gina Rutledge.
And I was just going to say Gina Rutledge, too.
Okay, so we'll get to you guys, more that pop on. We'll get to it further down the road. But, I wanted to say here a couple things is one thing that I always forget about.
Hi, Cindy K. Thompson. Hi, Cindy K. Thompson. Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you? That was fun.
Nut. You nut.
I am a nut.
All right, so one of the things that we forget, especially here on Paratalk Radio, is that we do live video casting like this all the time, but we forget that this gets restreamed into just audio. So when you were describing this energy, Justin, I want to kind of give these people a visual. So you were talking probably 2 foot diameter.
Yeah, that's fair. Somewhere in that neighborhood,
about a 2 foot diameter. Okay, so that's that. We have to try to remember that with audio. They're like, how big was it? He's talking, hey Cindy, you see this, but it's one of those things.
Oh yeah. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, and to go back, it's funny because like you see those funny T-shirts out there in the paranormal that say stuff like when other people are running out, I'm the one running in. I'm a true paranormal investigator and stuff like that. And when you were talking about, you seeing this thing and it wanted you to follow it, that was your impression. I was thinking, okay, he's going for it. He's going to go. I was listening and trying to take it as like a visual, and it is funny how so many people in our field will turn and say to somebody else, did you see that? And then they won't even go to it. They will just kind of back off. And I think I think you take a chance when you do that. But at the same time, there's no other way to figure out what it is if you don't, so you have to take that chance. And I myself commend you on following through with it. You need to do that. So more
Well, it's
people
not
I
for
think in the
everybody.
field
It's
should
not
do
for
it.
everybody, I don't think. I
Mhm.
think
Oh, Kenny, Kenny, you're so crazy. He says, I don't run in, I strut.
I love Kenny Biddle. Like
So do
when,
I.
This is hysterical.
before I actually met him at Gettysburg, you know, I've had him on multiple shows. I've talked to him online, but just to talk to him in person and be around him, he is such a sweet guy.
Mhm.
He's just a sweetheart. He's got these really vibrant blue eyes and just fantastic friendly
Listen, do
energy
not
to
make
him.
Kenny's head any bigger than it needs to be.
He's
right?
the internet doesn't do people justice, is what I'm saying.
I agree. Yeah.
These paracons
He
are
has a
vibrant.
crush on Kenny. We're just saying Justin has a crush on Kenny. It's fine.
He's just awesome to be around. I mean,
Good energy, right?
Yes. I
And
It's
just want
okay
to
to
say
have
that.
a man crush. It's okay. It's all
But
right.
listen,
It's
Yeah.
2020. You can have a man
Mhm.
crush.
yes, but this is the thing: is when we all get together and we're at places like Gettysburg Bash. I mean, it's amazing because we can strike up conversations. We are ourselves. We can just have all of this fun stuff. That's funny.
No hate mail coming from me, Kenny.
Oh God, that's
Yeah,
funny.
not for me either. We brought Kenny. We gave him his own time slot on our schedule so that he could run his show.
That's cool.
I love Kenny. I think he's what we need in this field, in this big old thing that we call paranormal. We need him, and
he should teach people how to investigate. You know, not only historical claims that are correlated with hauntings and lore about locations. He's great at it. He's just like, because I have, you know, before I met Kenny, I would look into things deeper than your average ghost hunter would. And it's amazing how easy it is to find out that a lot of the stuff is bullshit. And people will try to run some bullshit on you. So we need the skepticism and the proper amount of critical, you know, analysis of everything that we're doing all the time. And Kenny's one of the good ones.
Well, because of Kenny, we started a couple of things on my other show, and one of them is like this: when anytime anyone swears, we put up like bad word, and you know, my personal favorite, bite me. So you know, we do that stuff, and Kenny's on Talk with Teddy is, I love this show. He always says that. I love this show. So, you know, I had to put that out there, and
So
Kenny is just amazing. And because of, I can honestly say, my first go round with Kenny was not a good one. Was not a good one. And
it was like Gettysburg Bash, by the way.
yeah, and it wasn't because I didn't believe his stories or what his truths are. I totally get it, and I totally believe in that stuff, and I really value the guy's opinion, and that's something that I think more investigators need to do. Is they should listen and not just hear. They should listen to what he actually has to say, because it makes sense, and he's good at what he does. But that's enough about Kenny. Kenny, now you can go home. So anyways,
my head is not going to fit through the door now.
Right. I love Kenny though, and so it's not it's your life, Kenny Biddle. So sit there and relax.
You know, before we get off the Kenny Biddle train, you know, people get hated on constantly if it goes against their grain and challenges their viewpoint. It can be bad, like we were talking about before we went live. So anytime Benny can get some compliments and some love, I'm going to give it, you know, if it's deserved, I think.
I agree. I think anybody
in our community, right?
Well, we have enough of that in this. I keep calling it a field because I don't know what else to call it. You know,
I say community.
We all go through this. Okay, community. We'll say paranormal community. We'll use that. And Kenny says, I got to get back to work. There you go, Kenny. Have fun. So, you know, we have a lot of people that love to spread the hate and I think a lot of that comes down to fear. They want to think that they are number one, and it's kind of like a race to some of them. Yeah. And everybody wants to be right. But unfortunately, to be right, you also have to be wrong. and you have to learn and realize that every single time that we're out there in the field doing this stuff, and I meant field, like when you're investigating out in that field, not the community, but in
Mhm.
that field doing your research, you literally have to. Oh, I just stole your word, Cindy. Literally
Why are
twice
you
now.
using the word?
You have to realize that there's going to be things beyond your control. There's going to be
Right.
things that not everyone's going to agree with, and you pretty much have to just. And this is something Kenny and I have said 100 times. You have to keep track of what you're doing. You have to do experiments. You have to do as much research and all
Yeah.
that. I mean, you just can't go out there and say, "Oh, it's a ghost. I can prove it by taking a picture and you get an orb." Sorry, that's not a ghost. That's not. We need more. And when people start realizing that this field or this community needs more than what we've been
You're
sitting
right.
on for the past 25 years, we'll never advance. We're just going to keep chasing our
Right.
tails. That's it. And
So
I really think that people with the new devices, the new gadgets, the new things that are out there, all you can do is test them out, try them, and if they don't work for you,
Right.
then you leave them, you put them aside, or you
Yeah.
give them to Big John and he throws them in the dumpster.
Exactly.
Well, the first thing you need to do is understand how they work at the deepest level possible.
Exactly. So, hello, Greg Grady. How are you?
Yeah.
All right.
So I just want to say something about the closed captioning. I think it's great that we have it on there.
We do?
Yeah.
How are we
But-
getting that?
Facebook does it.
It's interesting because it's not completely accurate, because when you said, "Oh, I stole your words, Cindy," it said, "I told your words, Cindy."
Yeah,
Oh.
Facebook's rolling out closed captioning for live videos.
That's
Really?
interesting. Yeah.
Oh, well, see, I learned something today. Hello, Aunt Cindy. There's my aunt joining in tonight.
Wait,
So,
where? Hi, Anita.
it's on my watch party, honey. I don't think you can see it, but she's on that side.
Who is it?
Chris Ferguson said, "Well said, Ted." My Aunt Cindy. It's on my watch
Oh,
party.
your
honey.
Aunt Cindy. I see.
Yes,
I thought
yes.
they were saying
Yeah.
hi to me as Aunt Cindy.
No, it was on mine. I'm sorry. So, do you have any questions for Justin before I move on, Miss Cindy?
So I just do have something. This is what I find interesting about your story, though, Justin. I think it's intriguing that they brought you to your mom's room.
Mm-hmm.
I actually feel like that entity really liked your mom, and that was a safe space for them to let you communicate with them. So it was actually a trust kind of mechanism with that entity.
Well, there's more to the story. It's very involved. So if you want me to get into it a little bit, I can.
Can I say that I feel like it loves your mom? Because I do feel that way.
Well, I think it's super complex. And you only heard partial things, the partial
Yeah, but it wasn't
information.
what I heard. It's what I felt.
Okay, well, we'll see if it lines up to what you felt.
Okay.
We the landlord of my mom was renting this from a woman who is an active shaman in a Native American community.
Okay.
So my mom brought her in after we reported this disturbance to her. So she brought her in thinking that she had the know-how and the tools to help cleanse the property if needed. So she came in and established that this was something witchcraft-like from the house that we were staying at. When I saw the anomaly,
Yeah.
when I immediately looked to my left, on the futon was an outline. You know how you see like a gray outline of a person?
Yeah.
On my futon. So I knew that there was a dual relationship. There was two things that I was seeing. One looked nothing like a person, and one had the outline of a person. So the person made me feel afraid. But once the anomaly was released from it, like there was a behavior change. It was a completely different change. That thing disappeared. So once the shaman lady was explaining in her mind what was going on, that somebody dabbling in witchcraft was controlling these constructs, these entities, to do things to people, to disturb them, which do witchcraft-like things. So what she explained, and my mother had come to the conclusion, was these nature beings had disconnected the control this other entity, the humanoid entity, had over this anomaly. So once that happened, it roamed and was kind of guided by the nature beings and the other beings that my mom's friends with into her room, because she also described other entities that would be in her room. So it was almost like, now I'm free. I'm going to be with these other people now, and I'm going to work for them, I guess, as a way to, I'm going to be working for them now that I'm freed from the situation. So that's how we kind of look at it. We have no idea if that's true, but that's what we gathered from that situations. So what you're picking up on is definitely probably the entities that my mom befriended in her home.
I definitely feel like that's the nature entity that I feel. So I didn't necessarily pick up on the witchcraft part or the other entity that was the negative. I actually could only feel that nature being, and I really feel like it has love for your mom.
Well, I'm gonna bust in here because with being on the Native American side, we have always had that connection with the earth and the spirits, the earth elementals, as you will. And my mom is similar to you, Justin, your mom. She's very connected with fairies and things as such. And she's always, talking to them and, stuff like that. And I, too, at one point thought my mom was nuts. But, after a while, when you start to grow up, you start to learn, and she shares things with you. And then something in your brain clicks. And it's like, oh, I can actually sense them or see them, or, and then you find yourself talking to them. But, it's my mom has always put it out there that the beings that come from the earth, they're not good nor bad. They're the ones there to help guide the earth and to make things beautiful and to make things, if destruction is needed, they are a part of that also, to clean up the earth, because sometimes you need the destruction to pave the way for new things. And so I kind of got the sense of what Cindy was saying, that if this other thing was trying to control these other things, that when it did get released, it definitely went to your mom and to these other things, because it was more of a protection. It's like, I'm not standing on my own anymore. I have more with me, and it's, to be honest with you, if it was a child's book or something you see on TV, it would be beautiful. And
it was almost like you were, what I'm getting from what you're saying is, like, I felt like this, whatever this anomaly was, had a kinship with the etheric beings, right? So it was almost like, I've been set free and here's my kind. Now I can join them, and I want to share something with you with this experience. And I know that sounds fantastical. It's not objective sciencey at all, but I cannot ignore this, guys. This really happened. There was witnesses to it. There was other people that were involved with the location I was staying at that I did not talk to. I did not psychologically front load them. They told me exactly what I saw on their own at the original location. So I knew that this was real. I can't tell you if it's nature beings. I can't tell you what it is, but I know it's a real event. It happened.
Right. And that's awesome. But, spirituality, the whole thing with ourselves and how we're raised and everything around us, we are our own individuals, and our own spiritual connection is what it is. I mean, it's where we're raised and what we're taught and so on and so forth. So, saying that it doesn't exist is kind of harsh, but at the same time, you're going to get people that say, oh, that's a bunch of nonsense. But one of the other things that I've always said here, in every story, there's an ounce of truth, and you decide what that truth is. And believe it or not, when you were talking, the first thing that came to mind, and it may be a silly connection, but I remember this animated show called Fern Gully. It was a little more, and that's what I thought. It's exactly what I thought was Fern Gully. So, that might just be me.
I thought of Danny's Place.
I don't know if I know Danny's place.
Yes, you do. Danny Class's place. Hinsdale, right?
Oh, Hinsdale. Oh, I thought you were making reference to a cartoon. I'm sorry.
No.
That places definitely have some entities that were, it's a community there. Now, all the woods and all the areas that are not tainted with human presence and mangled in ways that they are now. They're very prevalent there, and Hinsdale House is definitely out there enough to where they can thrive still.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I love it. I love that area up there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's got a lot of native
been-
history, so
Yeah. I've
Definitely.
never
All
been to Hinsdale. It's only astral projection. I don't know. Projection.
So I wanted to move on here a little bit. Like I stalked you a little bit, not a lot, a little. So I like the whole photography thing. I'm not a photographer per se, but I've been able to catch some really cool shots of, plants, animals, different weather, and stuff like that. And how far back does your history go with photography? Was it something that you just fell in love with, or was it something that you really had an interest in as a job or as a massive hobby?
Well, I think that photography ties in with any type of artistic creation. So I've always been an artist. My mom is probably one of the best artists I've ever met and seen work of. Trying to be unbiased there, but she's like actually talented. And so I got brought up heavy in art, like it's in the genes. It was fed to me at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I'm always drawing. I'm always writing. I was into music. I played music. Art is what I'm saying. So once I got to the point where I could start playing around with photography, the cell phones came out, anybody can take pretty decent photos. But then I started getting into it professionally because I saw like this very artistic outlet. I had to create things visually through a lens and connect with people that way, and maybe turn it into motion pictures. And I always loved movies. I've always liked film and documentaries and stuff like that, educational things that touch on the topics like the paranormal, the supernatural, all that stuff that just really makes your brain and your heart just sing with, all the beautiful music there is in the art world. So that started probably, I don't know, 5 years ago. I started doing it. I got me a proper DSLR, and then it just went on a huge, wormhole of photography and visual art after that. I shoot weddings. I do portrait photography. I do photography for the group and the paranormal work. We shoot films and documentaries of stuff that we do. And it's probably the best way that I can connect with people and express myself artistically, spiritually, and educationally. Like I think that there's a really brilliant way you can tie all these different elements together and connect with people and express yourself in that way. So that's what it means to me. The COVID-19 pretty much screwed photographers right now. So I actually had to go out and get different jobs and work at a local factory just to make ends meet. My wife had to retire because she's got multiple sclerosis and couldn't work anymore. So I'm working more and more now. So that's why I'm on your show now. Our group just released a paranormal documentary about Hartford City, Indiana, which is full of a lot of haunted history, and claims Monroe House is probably the most notorious in Hartford City that people may have heard of. But,
so where are you guys out of though, Justin?
I live in Hillsboro, Ohio. Derek and Missy live in Aurora, Indiana, which is close to Cincinnati, close to Lawrenceburg, Indiana. And Josh Bender and Jessica Bias live in Rupert, West Virginia. So we don't even live near each other.
Oh, wow.
But we met through Paracons, through the internet. Josh Bender had me on his show when he had a podcast. I met Derek at a paranormal event that I was helping. I used to do lectures at public ghost events, and that's how he met me. And we became friends, and we jived, and the rest is history.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a cool background. I like it, Teddy.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw something up there.
Graveyards and cemeteries.
So I want to say hi to Barry Martz. He's finally joined us. We haven't seen him in a little while.
Yeah, no, he was here earlier. I said hi to him. He said hi.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he said
Hello,
hi.
Lisa Hagedorn. Thank you for joining. I've missed so many. Tamara, Christina, Chuck Tallman. There's just so many in here I haven't gotten to. Laura Jean.
Mhm.
Thank you guys so much. Please make sure that you like and share and subscribe.
Are we on YouTube too, Teddy?
Yes, we are on YouTube. Yes, Paratalk Radio is on YouTube. So,
Because I don't see any comments coming in from YouTube, so I didn't know if we're.
it's not live. It's not actually live. Well, maybe it is. I'm not sure how that works.
I'll check. I'll check for you guys.
Thanks. I was going to do it too. I was thinking about doing it. Well, because we can.
I know it's streaming there. So.
Oh, you are streaming it there.
Yeah, StreamYard definitely does that.
Yeah, because I didn't see anything coming in from. I just was curious because I didn't see any YouTube comments.
Right.
Well, we probably don't have. I mean, it's relatively new. We don't have a lot on there right now, and we're still trying to get people to subscribe. So,
I'm
not finding the channel.
Hit the bell icon, people, so you can getting notifications on YouTube for when we go live.
Let me see if I can find it too. But
and like and follow on Paratalk Radio and Talk with Teddy and Psychic Cindy. Absolutely. And Justin, what is the one for you guys, for yours?
Oh, our website is the place we try to drive everybody to, because you can get all the social media links, the YouTube channel. You can purchase, rent, or download the documentary that we have released on our website. So that's interfacedeath.net or .com, whichever you want to type in. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
Perfect.
We do shows like you guys. We do films, paranormal documentaries, web series, tutorials, all the stuff.
All the stuff.
All of it.
Hi, Christy London.
All right, so this is the actual thing for it. If you're interested in going to the YouTube one for Paratalk Radio, it's youtube.com Paratalk Radio. I just went on there. It's there. It is live. It does say live. They can click right on it.
Hi, Robert White.
So
we have Christy and Krista. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Robert is on YouTube now. Thank you, Robert. You rock. Thanks, something so Cindy can see it is working here. Perfect, Robert. Thank you so much.
Yeah. It's just good to see, some of those other avenues being used as well.
Absolutely. Was in the Facebook chat, but was the only one in there. Oh. Yeah, I didn't see you on there. I'm sorry.
there is. We are streaming on the Facebook pages as well, and I think that's on two, which is the Paratalk Radio and WLFE, plus our own watch parties.
Yeah. Oh, I see. So he could have been on like one of the other ones. I'm on Paratalk Radio.
Yeah. Okay.
Here on my phone, and then here on StreamYard for this one.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right, that's cool. So it is live. So, we were talking about photography with you, Justin, and some of that stuff. So are you the filmmaker for this that came up you were talking about? I mean, have you worked on many independent films yourself for this stuff in the paranormal?
Outside the paranormal, I've only did a few things for some clients. That's just because I'm so, my time is almost entirely invested in the paranormal work that I'm doing. But if someone would come along and say, hey, here's my budget for something, I like your work, let's do it, I would definitely accommodate them. But most of the film work I do is involving the paranormal investigation that we do, the places that we investigate, the people we help, the places we go, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
We do all the production ourselves. We own all the equipment. The production company where we work under is called Shadow Forge Studios, and it consists of me, Josh, and Derek primarily, because we're the ones that have the patience and the desire to work with the cameras and to get all the stuff needed shot and done for the film work we do. The girls are the people that, you know, are in front of the camera sensing the things, so we can correlate those things with the things that people report and other things we capture. You know how it works.
Well, and it's tough. I mean, to working with photography and video, and I sit here and I do this stuff. There's a lot of work involved, and, and sometimes it's very stressful, and I can totally get it. Totally get it. So
I have some questions that Robert's asking, which I think they're fantastic. Actually, he said, "What is your favorite camera brand? What lens is your most used? And do you have any of those fancy lenses with infrared or special capabilities?"
Yes, I do. What we use for our primary, like B-roll or interviews and the stuff you see that's not infrared, we use Panasonic Lumix G85s, which are, you know, mirrorless cameras that can shoot in 4K. We stick Rokinon Cine lenses on them, which are the low-end prosumer cinematography lenses that people can purchase that have follow focus on, that have clickless aperture rings on them, so you can do all the manual stuff you need for all the cinematography that we do. And of course, if I had all the money, I would have Alexa cameras and Red cameras and you know, all that stuff that all the high end production companies use. But if it wasn't for Josh and Derek and Jessica and Missy investing in, I mean, we all try to spend all of what we can into that gear, and we've already spent, you know, several $1,000s already, and we haven't even been to our first shoot yet. And that's what we end up doing in the first quarter of the year. We take all of our, you know, tax return money, all the extra stuff that we get, and just pour it into this film project. I mean, just thousands of dollars. We get support from our followers and viewers to do that.
Yeah, it's expensive. It definitely is expensive, and you know, I commend you. I mean, with just like with Genesee Valley Paranormal Investigators, we have a camper, an old camper that I converted, and we put everything in it between monitors and cameras, and, you know, plug and play style, so that we can get to the investigation and get it done and stuff. But, you know, after so much of collecting, you don't realize how much stuff you have in there and what it's worth and how much you spent, and you're kind of like, oh my God.
You know what's a good indicator of that, Ted?
What's
your significant other will let you know. That's the one that
I don't have one.
If you don't have one, that's why.
Tapping our asses.
But if you're married, you will know everything.
I love it, Justin. I don't have one, so I'm good. I just walk in there, I open the door, and I go, oh my God, what am I doing with all this stuff? I thought about selling some of it and having like a big yard sale, but I don't think anybody would come.
You'd be surprised.
So I know you just mentioned mirrorless. You also mentioned DSLR. Can you tell us the difference in those two cameras? Because some of us don't understand that kind of
right. On a low budget independent stuff that we do, there is an industry of camera manufacturers that are going into the film industry. So a DSLR usually is meant for still photography, but the newer ones in the last 10 or 15 years have video. You take video with them. And those are the ones that have the lenses, the detachable, interchangeable lenses. It has a mirror so it can reflect the image coming through the lens up into your viewfinder. That's what a DSLR is. And it has a mirror in it, and it has, you know, a sensor image like all cameras do. But they're bigger than what you find in your cell phone and small compact point and shoots. So that's what a DSLR is. A mirrorless camera is the same thing as a DSLR, but it doesn't have that mirror to reflect the light from the lens up into the viewfinder. It actually takes an LCD and transmits the digital image to an electronic viewfinder. So you're looking at a mini TV in that viewfinder.
Oh,
so there's pros and cons to it, but now like the cameras we use, they're hybrid cameras because the DSLRs initially had time limits on the video and they have restrictions on what you can do. But now the hybrid cameras are doing like 4K. You can record as long as you want. It's got higher bit rate. The lenses, you can buy cinematography lenses that goes right onto the mounts of those cameras. But the major video production companies, they use like stuff like Alexa cameras that they've been using for years. There's these new cameras called Reds that you've probably heard of. Black Magic is another major independent to pro level camera manufacturing company that does really nice cameras. But I wish I had one to grab. I don't have one. I'm using them all right now. But they're the ones that you can hold in your hand.
Let me see what I got right here, Justin. Sorry to interrupt, but I might have something.
Yeah,
hold on.
Yeah. Show them what a DSLR is.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know which. So you have a hybrid, so that's a DSLR / mirrorless.
It's a mirrorless. Lumix G85 is a mirrorless camera. It looks like your regular camera that you see photographers take, but there's no mirror in it. So
got it. Okay.
So the Lumix G85s use a micro 4/3 sensor, which is a smaller sensor, so it decreases the size of the camera bodies and the lenses that makes them easier to use. So you put them on a rig, you put recorders on them, microphones, and you can hold handles on them to stabilize them, to hold all the audio gear. So you can add all kinds of accessories to them to turn them into essentially something that you can film something pretty nice with.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So the only thing that I had handy here, and I'm sorry to say, was just my my little Sony handy cam. That's the only thing that I have here with the little screen. I usually run with 2 of these, and I have my standard DVR cameras, and I have a full spectrum converted cell phone. I have stuff like that I use. I unfortunately didn't go with the real expensive cameras, which it's not like these are really cheap either. They run about $400 new, but it's they work for the purpose of documenting what we're doing. So for me, it works for me fine, and I'm happy with what I got. But maybe someday getting into something that's a little more expensive. I know you can get some of those what are they? I can't even remember the name of them now.
The Sony cameras.
Yeah.
Well, the popular ones that are in the $1,000 range are the Sony AX33 to 53, the AX100. That's within $100 or $1,000 to $1,200 range that is affordable-ish. So Josh has an AX100. And it's really good because it has the bigger sensor than the 53 and the 33 does. But you will see that's probably the most common camcorder that people use because of the night shot like yours does. You can film regular and hit the button. And what that does is changes the filter from an IR filter into no IR filter, because you'll see the actual filter, change in the camera when you're looking at it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, my battery that I have in it isn't charged, but I was going to show. But yeah, there is a big difference you can see. So Cindy, someday I'll have to bring one over that you can just play with.
Okay.
I know how you like to play with stuff like that. So
I do like to play.
All right, so Sin City Paranormal says, let's bring this up.
Rose?
I just dropped $840 on a custom Pentax black and white IR.
Yeah, Pentax's. I think the one he bought is a DSLR. I think it has a mirror in it. If not, he can correct me. But there's companies out there that'll take these cameras, and the sensors in these cameras have the filter over the sensor to filter out infrared light, because that's not how our eyes see light. So they put a filter in there, and what they do is they take that filter off and replace it with a clear filter. So it lets all that IR in. So the modded cameras you use and the Sony cam, what it does is just changes the filter or removes the IR filter essentially. So it'll be sensitive to that spectrum of light. So they mod, your nice higher end or mid-level DSLR cameras or mirrorless cameras to see in the dark with infrared.
Let's see. Robert White says here, a digital single lens reflex camera, digital SLR or DSLR, is a digital camera that combines the optics and the mechanisms of a single lens reflex camera with a digital imaging sensor. Huh?
Thank you, Google.
That's
Yeah.
straight. That's straight from a Google search. I copied
Yeah,
and
well,
pasted it several
does that
times.
a lot of times for us. Like he will quick Google it and copy and paste it.
He's
for
very
us.
good at that stuff. We love having Robert on board, and he's funny as shit too.
He is funny. So dang funny. Robert was on with me on my live last night on Mother's Day.
Good. Sin City says Spencer's cameras. I'll shamelessly plug them. Well, I just put it up there for you, so that was a really good plug. Just so you know.
Wait, what is Spencer's camera? Is it just a little shop, or is it like the maker of the camera?
I would assume the makers of the camera.
It's a website. They probably have a physical location, but they have a website that does camera mods. You can buy modded cameras from them.
I see. Okay.
There you go.
Chris just says, which has the best battery life? That's the part that's hard, right?
Well, I think there's a lot of cameras out there, and I do find this to be true that when people buy cameras, they do worry about. It's like buying a cell phone. You worry about what's going to have the most life as a battery goes. But in most cases, like the one that I have here, this little Sony, you can all these batteries are interchangeable, and in most cases, you can get yourself a charging port where you can put 5 or 6 batteries on the port, the charging port, and then that way you always have a fresh battery.
Well, what we do with our cameras, the mirrorless and DSLR cameras that we use, and you can even do with the higher end up cameras that are designed for filmmaking, they have external batteries. You can have V-mount batteries for your higher end cameras. They're just huge freaking batteries that power everything on your camera for hours and hours and hours. You don't have to change batteries at all. And that's what we do. We use external. Yeah, we use really high capacity external batteries for everything we do because, when you have to stop and change the battery, that can impact your shoot and your investigation, whatever you're doing. So we design everything around external high capacity power so that will run our equipment. I think the battery on my main rig will power it for 2 days straight if you had a card that record that long.
Wow. So yeah, that's amazing though. But for some of us that do what we do and we don't have all that little extra money, folks, this is definitely a good way to go. You can do this, or you can get involved into the bigger battery. Now, some of these, like this one, I know that I can plug it right into the regular wall socket, and it'll run, put it on a stand, and do whatever you want as well. But then again, it depends on how much your hard drive, how much you can actually record. So there's a lot of stuff. I love it, Bill Davis. I got the power.
He's got a nice camera.
That's He-Man.
He's got a couple nice cameras.
Right? It doesn't He-Man say that?
Yeah.
I have the power to be precise.
All right. So you guys, I put over here in the chat. So if you wanted to know a little bit more about Justin, he gave me a bio, and I put his whole bio right in there in the feed so that you guys could take a look at it. So if you have questions as well, you can use that to feed your questions. So
since I sneezed, and by the way, neither of you said bless you, but people in the comments did.
I didn't even hear you sneeze.
What's that?
I didn't even hear you sneeze.
What?
Gesundheit.
Like blew both of you away with that sneeze.
I didn't even hear it.
And the funny part is my sons, who are right in the 2 rooms next to me, didn't say it either.
Okay, so what is this? Let's see. Every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, Necromancer live show bi-monthly where Justin interviews other paranormal researchers, celebrities, and psychics, and interface death weekly every Friday. So that's one of the other things that you're involved in then.
Yeah, I do stuff like this right here. The Tuesday show that I do every Tuesday is called My Paranormal Soapbox. I do it with Jessica and Missy, and pretty much what I do is I pick out a topic, get up on my soapbox, give my opinion, and then I'll allow my the viewers and my following to tell me what they think, and we kind of have an open panel, so to speak, for an hour or more about the topics, so we can kind of, it's just a cool little blog show. That's actually pretty popular. It's on RU Media. It's on my blog page. It's on paranormalwarehouse.com. The Necromancer show is where I interview folks like this format, and I do that twice a month on Wednesdays. And on Fridays, we do something called Interface Death Weekly, to where we, I'll get on paranormal websites and look up all the latest trending paranormal news, and we review it, we report it, and then we get we talk about the new Ghost Hunters episodes and the stuff they got, what would they think. People submit photos and videos either online or stuff that they've captured, and we review it.
That's cool.
And we have that type of show on Fridays.
That's awesome. So I definitely want you guys to check all that stuff out. Give them your love and support. Our followers, please do that. That is awesome. We need to work together and network on this stuff. That's the only way this is going to work as a whole. We have to do it now. I don't know if you guys had gotten to this question. Krista had put up here, before you go out to video, do you do a lot of homework? Oh,
yeah. I mean, you can't avoid that at all. We have production meetings to talk about how we're going to shoot this stuff. You as a paranormal investigator, you really don't want to front load your brain with all kinds of stuff to suggest. Right. But when you're doing a documentary or filming the stuff, you have to do the logistics of interviews, people you're interviewing, things that you're shooting, knowing the history to do all the narration of the films. So you have to know all the stuff about everything.
Right. And basics, like when you're, oh, sorry, Cindy.
I was just saying, Bill said Friday's show is the bomb.
Because cool. He does that with me on Friday.
There you go. There you go.
Kristen Holmes, Clancy Prentice, and Plato Angelakis.
There you go. I'm trying to remember now how my question was.
Sorry.
No, that's all right, honey. It's
well, we were talking about all the research you have to do for.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Justin. One of the things that I find, and it's something that I don't agree with. When I started out 34 years ago, when you first start out, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're just out there. Mm-hmm. You're doing the best you can. You think that you know it all. But we were carrying those big ass cassette tape recorders that you push the button and hang off your belt and all that other crap, little notepads, and because there wasn't all this gadgetry.
You were better off then, man.
Yeah, well, the thing is like my point to this real quick is that you learn from trial and error, but one of the things that I always found myself doing was making sure that I kept good notes and writing everything down, because you have to have something to go back on, and
your
this
memory
is something
sucks.
We talk about. Yeah, well, especially when you're 54, but you have to. Cindy and I talk about this all the time. There's there's three things that are very, very important for us when we investigate. One is making sure that we are fully prepared, and that means spiritually, as well as physically, with what we're doing. And she's always saying to our guests, "Are you protecting yourself?" And I think because we don't know, we don't have enough information out there yet. It's not a bad thing to do, is to make sure that you protect yourself. The other thing is that I really truly believe that we have to take notes, and we have to create some type of paperwork or have something there that we can go back onto to reference, to have to say, hey, say a team 10 years from now goes to the same location. Maybe there's something that connects. I mean, and that's where the work comes into, and that's where sharing comes into. That's where we may get a foot forward instead of a foot backwards, because there's just so many times we chase our own tails in this field or this community, because we just don't have the data. And if we were to share more of the data and at least, offer opinions because of the data we have, I think we'd be better off, and
I have some things to add to that when you're done.
Okay. All right. And the third thing I was going to say is, with us, when we investigate, you pretty much have to look out for each other. And I do see that on some of these videos that are on YouTube, sometimes they're not really taking precautions that they should. And running in a dark place where you can't see your hand in front of your face is a no-no. And, if you have somebody with you as a partner, you want to make sure that you know where he or she is at all times. So you can't take chances, folks. So those are the three main things that I just wanted to throw in there as an overall that you guys should be taking and being aware of. But go
Right.
ahead, Justin.
Well, when you talked about data, and it's something that we definitely need to hear all the time on shows. So my input on it is there's no standardized practice for acquiring the data. So that's one of the main problems. There's a lot of people out there that are self-taught. They're learning, like you said, through trial and error. They're making a lot of mistakes. So there's no real authority out there in the paranormal field to teach people and to hold them accountable for good data acquisition practices. So that is one of the main problems. If you had a database of every investigation conducted by every field researcher out there that all, learn the proper ways, at least the ones that are agreed upon by all the leading people in the field, which is the best that we can do, then that's when you can take that wealth of data and start connecting dots, start finding correlations, and start progressing the work. That is why it's not progressing right now, because the standardization's not there.
Right. We had discussed this. We discussed this, like 2 years ago, right? When you first came on board, Cindy. I think this is something we were pushing there for a while.
We were talking about that so heavily. And then this is what came of it. Who's choosing the standardization? Who's keeping track of that website where all of that data is stored? And the thing is nobody wants to have that responsibility. But
I think it's money too. You have to think about those other things as money, time.
So much work's involved into it. You have to be able to get some return, because you have to invest pretty much your life, your economic life into it.
Right.
There's nobody going to pay anybody to do that. So that's why it's not there.
And the thing is think about it this way. If all of the teams, if we put, we had a monthly fee, right? Like a dues. We all got into it that really wanted the standardization, right? We do a monthly fee to help with the costs. So whoever it is that's really taking care and is the caretaker of all this information, there is money for this to be taken care of. So this is not.
You're talking about tax.
Yeah. But you would do it as a non. What is it called? It's eluding me right now.
Yeah.
Scotty, what is yours? What was the
nonprofit?
Yeah, nonprofit.
Yeah, nonprofit. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if you list it as a nonprofit, then it's you get that tax break. You don't have to worry about that. So we could, because it's not only just data research, it is also like progressing of the of the community.
What's nice about the thought about this, Cindy, though, it's a great thought, and just we've discussed this, and it's great that Justin is thinking the same thing. But there are so many other factors that we have to put into this, like who would we choose? Because you would have to elect whoever it is to take care of it and trust them enough.
We would have to, because everybody that's involved would want to have their say. And if they're putting their money and they're paying their dues, they're going to want a say in it. And the thing is we can have it that way, right? If we talk and as a community and as a group, we say, this is the information that we have collected. This is what everybody wants to say. And then we can all put our minds together and narrow it down, right?
Right.
Well, there's a model. If you kind of model it to the scientific community and how it advances our technology forward, it's not perfect. It's human element involved to it, but it progressed our culture and our way of life forward for the most part. Now there are some things, bad things, obviously, but as long as you're seeing advancements, and if you look at our scientific advancements and our technological advancement, it's increasing exponentially now.
Right.
So if you modeled this after that, then you would only expect to see similar results.
Okay, so I want to address something that they're talking about in here. So they're talking about profit. We've already discussed that there's not necessarily any profit, but because any of the money is going to the nonprofit to help this, be monetized, right? But Josh Bender said you can't always trust the data. Not so. You can only submit data that's replicable.
Well, it's a peer review model. It's a peer review model. Like in the scientific community, you put out a paper, you do experiments, and it's peer reviewed. And once it's passed the peer review, you're able to replicate and authenticate and validate and predict things. Like, for example, if you go into the Hensdale house and Daniel says, in this room, voices come out of the thin air. So there's a claim. So you want to predict that happening and replicate that. Right. Now, there's other variables there. You might be dealing with something that has free will, like we do. They can answer your questions. They can not answer your questions. They can interact with you. They can not interact with you. So there's other elements you have to take into consideration. It takes a body of geniuses to do this. I mean, I'm just going to be blunt about it. All these people need to have their IQs tested. All these people need to go be analyzed and say, okay, you guys are freaking geniuses. You guys are going to handle all this data and vet all these different claims and, all this stuff. And it's taken upon them.
I don't necessarily agree with that. You have to have a specific IQ. We have doctors now that do not live up to specific IQ levels. So I do believe that we have to have some type of standardization, and there has to be a certain amount
or intelligence.
Intelligence, yes, okay. I agree. There has to be some sort of intelligence, right? We can't have anybody that has mental illness per se, right? I mean, there are things that we really would need to discover, but this one is funny. It's just a funny one. Robert White, you crack me up. He says, with the psychic field, there are no nonprofits.
Yeah, that's the one I was going to put up there, and unfortunately another comment came in right afterwards, and I missed it. But I love it because Bill Davis says IQ. I'm out. I love it. Bill Davis, IQ. I'm out.
Well, I think we could just sum it up by stating that there's no perfect model, no perfect situation, no flawless scenario, but it definitely could be better. Right. And we're not doing what we need to do to make it better.
I agree. We all sit back and we sit on our thumbs and our hands and we do our own thing, and we don't necessarily put anything forward, and that's a sad situation for all of us. I mean, we tried here a couple of years ago. We reached out to 5 other teams locally and said, hey, what would you feel about having a standard form or something that we could fill out to use when we investigate or when we're done investigating and so on and so forth. And, we had everybody's like, yeah, let's do it. But then when you put stuff out, you don't hear back from them. So it's like,
there's reasons I think that are universal. This is all volunteer. This is all passion project stuff.
Right, exactly.
So you run out of fuel to accomplish those things very easily because you have to prioritize it with everything else.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, we have thought about so many of these issues, and we have gone through the difficulties and the positives, and I mean, we still come back to the same thing. Nobody wants to volunteer the amount of time and energy that it would take to do this, because you couldn't take this database and pass it around to all of those people in these in here, all these groups, right? You can have them all be the caretakers of it because there's the problem of too many hands in the cookie jar, right?
Well, okay, here, Cindy, this is how it should be done. Once you have some, don't give me your money. I'll buy deadlights with it. That is a legitimate problem. But
what are deadlights? I'm confused.
It's an infrared, and it's a paranormal illuminator company that me and Josh Bender established a few years ago. He builds custom infrared, full spectrum, and regular lighting systems for people to light their the night up. So
Right.
Got it.
we can talk about that if you want, but just to kind of go off of what Cindy said. So this is how I would model it. You would get all this group of people that have training that all agree on a consensus that this is the standard of how we're going to collect the data. This is the equipment we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do it. And once it's recorded and documented, they give it off to another party, which their job is to take all the data and graph it. Okay.
Ooh,
And
okay.
once you start graphing it, then you can start seeing what comes out of the actual research.
Right.
So data loggers, for example, if someone gets an EVP, you want environmental data and all kinds of other data points associated with it to see what kind of patterns and trends form. So it would help predict, replicate, and validate anomalous phenomena. So for example, there's an EVP here that cannot be explained. You went through all the exhaustive work to know that it is an anomalous piece of data. What other things are anomalous that you might see pop up? So you might see pressure drops, temperature changes, electromagnetic field spikes, for example. And you start correlating these things with these other types of phenomena. Once you do that enough, then you start building evidence or supporting evidence to suggest that these things are involved. So knowing that information, you can set up experiments to further validate that, to predict it and replicate it and see that happen in experiments. And once you do that, you can develop methods and maybe even equipment and other experiments tailored to this new information to further document paranormal phenomena in ways to help us understand it more scientifically and carefully, methodically.
You're taking me back to my psych classes. That's fantastic. That's so true. It's right on.
But,
I love it.
But exactly, there's you. I love the whole thought, and this is something we talked about years ago. I definitely think it's something that should be looked into. But you're still going to get a lot of hesitance. You're going to get a lot of people out there saying, I don't want to be involved. But then that's where you say, okay, you just pick the ones that want to be involved. You just worked with those that are willing to jump on board.
Right. So here's the other thing. I'm sorry, Cindy, I have to say this. The people that are smart enough to have the resources in the school to do this type of work, they're not going to get the jobs to do this work. They're going to get the jobs that are already paying them to do what we're prioritizing in our culture. So that is the problem. If we prioritize this up with, level or above the stuff that our leading scientists and smart people are good at things people can be paid for and do things, it's not going to happen. It won't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree.
Leanne says, sounds great in that idea, but not feeling it would happen. Not saying I disagree with it, but sounds too perfect. She also says, okay, now that sounds good if you can get people involved. And this is the but. The but is always involved, which is, where are we getting the people to do this?
Yeah, curing cancer is definitely going to be more of a priority to most people if you pull them than proving whether you have ghosts in your house or your consciousness exists death. I mean, and that's some people may debate that, you know.
Well, they might. I mean, but look at the way the majority of us why we've gotten into this field or community in the first place. A lot of us are brought into it because of experiences. And like for myself, it's the bottom line is I want to know whether there's life after death. And that's the purpose of me being in this field whatsoever. So for me, do I want a cure for cancer? Of course I do. Do I want a cure for AIDS or for the coronavirus? Of course I do. But to people such as myself that also for 30 something years have carried this in the back of my mind of wanting to know, is there really life after death? I think you prioritize some of it and you say, well, yeah, this is important to me. So I would be able to put, $50 here, $100 there, or whatever. I mean, I think it all becomes prioritized. And some of us, we really do want to know what's there, and for me, I will always leave it that way.
If you think about the implications of what any evidence that would come out of such research, how it would challenge so many things and impact so many things.
Listen, the government just said that UFOs are real.
We live in the most screwed up times right now.
God.
Like if you,
I've already started covering my face, Justin. I knew exactly where you were going with this.
it's
Oh,
this
God.
is like the world's largest stage for the most screwed up reality show you could possibly imagine. It is so crazy right now. And how can it not pop up in every discussion that you're going to have about anything? Because it's crazy right now. Like just everything gets washed out by what's going on right now. It's like almost like you cannot function. Like everybody's like losing sleep. They can't get work. They don't have money. Their life is so just
fucked
crazy.
Up.
Yeah, it's fucked up. So we can't even get any footing at all right now. So that if you don't have things, smooth sailing, at least for the most part, screw any type of, passion project or trying to get things off the ground. You're just trying to look out for your family, yourself. It's so weird right now, guys. There's conspiracy theorists wet right now.
I wouldn't even go there. I'm not even going to touch that part. But yeah, but what I find, there's a little humor in this, and some people may disagree with me, but here we are in a serious situation across the world with COVID-19, and I find it ironic and a little humorous that when you look at your social media, all of a sudden the government puts out UFOs are real. Wait a minute, we're dealing with this other serious shit right now. Do you think I really give a flying rat's ass if UFOs are real right now? It's kind of funny how things are just plugged in there in a serious situation, that we're all dealing with.
Well, the thing is,
I mean, it just drives me nuts. I'm like, it's like,
it's called diversion. Number one,
the distraction. It's I get it, but I sit back and I laugh. I go, who the fuck comes up with this shit? Who decides?
There's people that are writing books. Have you seen the news? People wrote books about pandemics happening in 2020 and all this stuff. Like people's already been thinking this shit up, though. That's the even crazier part.
Yeah. Well, but there are some people that are talking about the trends that they've been watching over the years and leading up to the pandemic and how we just were not taking care of what we should have been.
That's
my wife. Answer. Yeah, that's my wife.
I love it. I love it.
I have to say hi to Betsy and Sean. How are you guys?
That's when I covered my face, you knew that's where this was heading. And like Cindy said, if you just try to throw everything that you got out into everybody's face, you can put anything out there or slip anything through, and even if you see it, what the fuck are you going to do about it?
Right.
You can't do shit about anything.
Right.
It's so funny. I was watching this guy and he was hysterical. He's like, the government just said UFOs are real, but nobody's talking about it. There's nothing. Nobody's talking.
Well, they're talking about it, but it's getting drowned out.
That's right. But it just made me giggle because it's so true. Because listen, we are so, we're much more rather wanting to talk about how in this COVID-19 there is all of these paranoid people and the non-paranoid people and all of the shit that's not true and the shit that is real and the nurses and the doctors and how they're helping and how they're killing their patients. Come on. There's so much shit going on right now. And
I'm watching the feed. You guys are watching the feed. There is a lot of like conspiracy things. If you watch some of these, what they're referring to, it's like
there's so many about COVID right now. All of the COVID.
Well, that's what the mainstream wants. They want mass hysteria. They want mass confusion. They want smoke. You can't see shit.
Listen, that's why we don't watch TV and then we're fine.
Well, what's funny?
Don't forget the murder bees.
The murder hornets. You have to distract yourself from the distractions. Okay.
American hornets, yes.
I'm sorry. I may be an asshole for saying this, but the majority of the shit that I see that comes off of social media, I point at the TV and I laugh. I go, "Are you effing killing me here?" It's like this is murder hornets. Really? We've had killer bees for 25 years.
Yep.
And I had these white-faced hornets, just to kind of throw us off the conversation a little bit, but I had them right here off my garage, and I mean the nest was huge, and I had to get my lawnmower out of the garage door where this thing sat right over my head for a whole summer. And every time I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna get stung. These fuckers are they're gonna get." Yeah, you should remember this. It's like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna get attacked." So I start up the lawnmower. Okay, it's noisy as hell. So I got the garage door open. Here's the beehive. I start the tractor, and my eyes are right on that beehive. I'm like, okay, tractor's running. Are they coming out? No. Should I try it? And I'll floor it just to get past them. But it's funny that the amount of times that I went through that to mow the yard and not got stung. It kind of reminds me this whole thing of what we're living through right now. It's like, I think it, and I don't want to keep bringing up COVID-19 because no matter what we say, it's going to be there and people are going to have opinions and it's going to be a bunch of shit one way or another. And some of it could be true. You decide what's your truth when it comes to that. That's all I have to say. But we have to understand that we cannot change the world around us as a whole. We can change just our own little world, and that's it. And this stuff that comes out that we say on social media, take it with a grain of salt. Grab yourself a big bottle of tequila, and every time something comes out that you just laugh at, take a shot, because I will guarantee you by the end of the day, you'll be so
dead, Ted.
Yeah. You won't know.
Your liver will die.
You will be pickled. You will be pickled.
I love Nick's comment. The government.
Gotta watch out.
Now, lockdown is over. The governments are no longer moving the alien technologies. Robert.
I love you, Robert. You're such an ass. I love it, though. I love it. We've got some good people that follow us, and I have to tell you that we would not be here 4.5 years if it wasn't for people like that.
And if they did not put it out there that UFOs are real, why didn't they let the people go into Area 51? Well, because they hadn't put that out there yet, Kathy.
That Area 51, we know, had nothing in it. They had already cleared out Area 51 long before that.
No. Barry says, or take a shot at Jameson. I don't like either of those. How about Jackfire? But I don't even drink that much of that. So
Kathy says we are in a very crazy movie, and they didn't tell us Lollipop, but
they paid
everyone $1,200 for being in the movie. Nice.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Well, some people didn't get paid, so
Right. They sure didn't.
Got to get on the payroll.
Area 57, the Heinz complex. This cracks me up. The hand sanitizer is enough alcohol for me. Right. For Ferg's sake.
Yeah.
Or a shot of bourbon, says Darren. I don't know what you said.
What do you find, Justin, in the paranormal field right now that busts your ass?
Wait, does bust your ass mean make you mad or make you laugh?
I'm gonna say make you shake your head and go, fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Well, it's a mixture, Ted. It's a mixture between not ignorance and the bad end of the spectrum of human nature. Okay, the egos, the fear, the ignorance, all mixed together is a bad mixed drink, man. Okay. I mean, I spend 99% of my time learning sponging. Remember, it's
Yep.
coming full circle now. You got to be a sponge. You got to connect with people. Like this. Okay, I got two takeaways from the show. The first takeaway is you don't find the paranormal finds you.
I agree.
And second is, at the end of the day, if you can't appreciate another human being for them being a human being and finding something to connect with, you miss the boat. All this other stuff, okay?
That's
If
right.
if your last breath isn't taken with the satisfaction of saying, I did the exact best I could to make my mark and to make my children feel like they were loved, they had a father, my wife feel like they had a husband that they could appreciate, and my friends to say that they had a friend that they could rely on that was there for them. That's all you can do. Now, you can get lucky and make a breakthrough. You can get lucky and be involved with something great and wonderful, but it all boils down to what type of human being you are. If that can't be the takeaway from each and every day in your life, all the other stuff, that's it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah.
If you can do that, then you're going to appreciate the differences and you're going to find middle grounds with people, and then you're going to progress. Then you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to listen to this person. I'm going to consider what they're saying.
Yeah.
It might pan out to something you will agree with because you opened yourself up to it, and then you allowed yourself to be influenced by it. And then that's the only way that we can work together. And it's just learn how to be human beings that aren't pieces of shit.
I'm 100% on board with you. I mean, there are so many of us out there that truly believe. Like, I'm not a saint by any means,
No,
and I have had
either.
a lot of shit thrown at me, and I've had to deal with a lot of crap in my life. But I still have this, and I don't know why. Somebody should be hitting me with a big maul over the head. But I still believe that in every person there is some good, and that's something that I believe. And if you can touch one person, not physically, but if you can touch one person and change their life for the better, then you did something phenomenal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You did something good. You need to understand that your neighbors, your mom, your kids, your aunts, your uncles, your best friend, the person standing on the street that's trying to find a job, we're all the same. We're people. We're animals.
We're animals.
Yeah, well, okay, we are animals, but we need to understand that we all affect each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you get older, you'll learn to be like, okay, I'm not right all the time. I'm wrong quite a bit. Fess up to it. Admit to your, have no
you
regrets.
kidding me? I am always right. Fuck that. I'm always right.
No.
What was that you said at the beginning? You got to be wrong to be right.
Yeah, I'm joking. Hello, sarcasm.
So what's that quote? In order to know something, you have first to learn to know to realize you know nothing.
Right.
That's a really butchered quote, but
yes, that was butchered, but it was good because yes, and I can't think right now.
I mean, the biggest thing here for me, one of the things that I take away with the paranormal community is all bullshit aside. Bottom line is that if you cannot understand yourself that you are learning every single day with this stuff, and that you need to continue on learning, that you don't know everything that there is. If you do not continue learning, then you might as well pack your bags, go to somewhere else, because we as a partnership in some sense, like, because Cindy is my partner in the paranormal. So her and I understand that in our partnership, we have to be able to feed off each other and understand and trust each other in what we do.
Yeah.
And if either one of us has this ego and we think we know it all, and we can't just let our ego go and say, you know what, I'm learning today.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I can get so pissed over this stuff, but I don't want. I'm just going to let it go. But you know what it is here. This is what it is. I got it for you.
Chanel,
oh my God, who the hell cares?
Chanel, I want I want to draw something. Chanel, I'm going to send you some healing energy, lovey.
What's going on with Chanel?
She said that she's in so much physical pain right now, she'd kill herself if she didn't have Jackson. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You're needed and loved, honey. You're needed and loved.
Right. That's right.
That's what I always tell people. I'm very similar to how you guys work. You're always getting to know people, learning from people, and connecting with them. It's like the first things first. If you ever need anything, I'll make time to do what I can. Because, if you can't live by that, all that spiel I gave about, being the good person each and every day. I mean, you're not gonna be perfect, but just the effort and the intent is there. That's you got it. You got to make time for people. Perfect strangers are the best people to do that for.
Yeah.
So Bill Davis, I want to know what you're pissed about.
Yeah. So I do need to know, I do need to say this though, is we take advantage of the loved ones that we have around us. We take them for granted. So as you say that, we can reach out to that perfect stranger and really show how much empathy we have and show how much kindness we have. We have to remember we have to do that to those people that are close to us too. Because we take them for granted so much, like my children.
You know what they say? They say you never realize what you have until it's gone.
Right, exactly. And so, we have so many people that we know that can say that. They can say, hey, I wish you would just love your mother. I wish you would just love your father. I wish you would just love your brother, your sister, because they're missing theirs now, right? And so as long as we can have this empathy for all these perfect, beautiful strangers, we need to have empathy for our perfect, beautiful people in our lives that we take for granted. You
need to get to know Valerie Wright. You would love her.
Hi, Valerie.
Welcome.
So sweet. Wait, you said I should get to know Valerie?
Yep, you'll be besties immediately.
I love it. I said, Bill, what are you pissed about? He goes, just a bad joke. Nobody got it, Ted.
That's his life story.
It was funny because I saw Christy said, hi, Valerie, but I couldn't see her yet, right? So, and it just made me think of my bestie, who is named Valerie. So you have my bestie who is named Valerie, but Valerie.
The synchronicity is we're drowning in synchronicities now.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Definitely blessed.
I'm going to say something here that I wish we would have talked before, Justin. I really like what you say and what you believe in this, and it's blowing my mind. It's like Cindy and I don't get the opportunity to talk with people that have somewhat of a like mind or somewhat, and it's very nice to. Yeah. I'm like, damn, we should have him over for drinks and barbecue, and he looks like he could put some ribs away.
God, I could. I definitely could. We could have a rib eating contest or whatever.
I want to be around people and laugh and have a good times.
Hopefully that will happen. I mean, we August 15th, I think, is the date. We have the Northeastern Para-Unity Conference right here in our area, and it's one of those things where we've just invited everybody out that would like to talk about the topics without egos, without. And we know there's going to be somebody. We're not stupid. We know this, but it's still an opportunity for people that have like minds with the paranormal that would like to get more information, would like to expand their own research or to see what else they could do to improve what they're doing, and just talk, meet, have a couple drinks, become friends, and share what we have. And it's an open floor. That's it. And we do realize, and this is put on by Paratalk Radio, and we do realize that, not everybody's going to agree with what we're doing and wanting to do this, but literally we don't care. There's got to be people out there that want to share, I guess the best way to put it. And if we're ever going to get to where we're all doing the same thing, or we're at least sharing what we're learning, we have to have a place to do it. And this is going to be our first one, August 15th, if it still follows through because of the COVID thing. And I just want to extend it to you, Justin. You and your team are welcome to join us.
I'm just hoping that the bash goes on because that's my favorite.
I know.
We are so hoping about that.
I mean, we have taken this right to, and some people they've agree with it. And for this thing on August 15th, nobody is getting paid for being there. Everybody's paying for their own expenses. That way, everybody is on a level playing field. So
nobody's getting.
That's the only way to do it. That's the only way to do it. If you want to be a part of it, that means you have to take it upon yourself to be there. That's it. So I just wanted to make sure that that's said, but what is this down here? The paranormal community is full of caring, awesome people. I met new teams weekly, and I have never met a bad team.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's nice. That's nice to hear, though we do know
that they exist.
Yeah, as we talked before this, that, even us having this outlet of Paratalk Radio, trust me, guys, there's shit.
There's shit.
Darren probably is good at not stepping in the shit.
Well, that's a talent. That's a definite talent. All right, so I got to say here, guys, that we are sponsored tonight. This episode of Paratalk Radio is brought to you by DeVilleInc.com. A lot of tattoos, piercings. Bria is one of our favorites down there. Tony, my nephew. So we're going to take one moment and play their ad. So, guys, just hang on one moment. I'm going to mute you and play their song.
Up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc. We specialize in you.
All right, so I just wanted to make sure I got that in there. So at some point, because it should have been 42 minutes ago. So yeah,
long overdue.
But hey, I got it in there. That's what counts.
I'm very proud of you. You got it, Toyota.
That's right. Okay, you guys. So our special guest tonight is sitting here with us, Mr. Justin Brown. Please take a look at the social media that we have posted right here in the video, youtube.com. Interface Death Paranormal Research. You can find them there. You can also find them on Twitter. They have their own website as well. They're on Facebook. In fact, before we started the show, Justin said he had a whole bunch of stuff, and I put up there what he gave me. And but please go check him out. Subscribe. Excuse me. I think Justin falls into. We love him at Paratalk Radio. I think that's where he falls tonight.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be good. Like last year at the bash. You were going around saying, "Hey, you want to spot? We're trying to spread the love." And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to talk to these guys." And I loved it. I remembered every second. I remember Ted. Me and Cindy are over talking about all these unicorns and rainbows, and he's over here like going, "Oh God." Cindy has found a partner in crime. It got to the point where you gave me a hug at the end, and I'm like, "Oh, this must be what she does for every guest." And your viewers are like, "She doesn't hug every guest, Justin." So you must have left an impression. I'm like, "Well, that's cool." So I love making friends with people that are just down to earth. They're just very grounded, very what's the word? Very cool, just real people.
Yeah,
well, we appreciate that. I mean, go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah. I was just going to say that when I did my live last night, one of the girls who I'd gone to high school with, she had said, she said something along the lines of, "You just seem so fun, right?" And what I said was, listen, I firmly believe in authenticity, right? In genuineness. And I think that with what we do and being in this community, we need to be authentic. We need to have that transparency, right? I know that, you know, not everybody is going to be like me on a show, right? A radio show, but I firmly believe that
Thank God.
if we have made a connection, I'm going to show you that we've made a connection. And I think that, and I appreciate that, right? Because I did. It was really cool. We had a great conversation the last time.
What was amazing about that at Gettysburg, I mean, every year we go there, we find more people that are just like us, and they're amazing individuals. It's a, to me, and I've said this before. In fact, I think Cindy has too on the show. It's a pure unity event. I mean, you feel the love when you get there. There's the people are fantastic, and I'm gonna throw Kenny Biddle under the bus here, and I don't know if he's watching.
He's gonna say,
but you know, Kenny Biddle was one of those guys that our energy didn't mix in the beginning. But what was funny about that is, after Gettysburg, we actually went. Sheila and I went to eat, and Kenny Biddle was sitting by himself, and we actually invited him to sit with us, and we actually had a conversation. You know, and my opinion that I first had of him was totally, and it's not like it was a real bad opinion. It was just I was a little pissed, and you know, but it was good. It turned out to be a great friendship between us, and now he's working on the same network we are at WLFEDB Radio. There's a plug. So you know, it's great stuff to get to meet different facets of people. I mean, just different people. Period. They're just amazing.
There's something to be said there. And what I'm going to say about this is everybody needs to listen because it's very helpful. If your viewpoints are not challenged, and if you're not able to accept that challenge and come out with some type of friendship, common ground, or agreement to disagree, I mean, there's a human person there behind all that. Once you can gather the intel you need to discover what's behind that facade that they're putting out there, you gotta know how to connect. And
Kenny and I have an agreement to disagree.
Yeah, Kenny will have those moments to disagree, but behind there, I'm telling you, is a great guy. Like,
I agree.
I am not. I mean, I'm coming out of the closet a lot this time. I am not the science guy that everyone thinks I am. I have psychic abilities. Everybody does. The moment I locked real eyes with him, I knew everything I need to know about the man. He is sweet, kind, loving, everything you want to see in a person. It is in there, and all that stuff, the facade, that's not Kenny. He is a great guy.
And it falls back on you being an individual. If you put up that wall and you don't allow that person's real personality and all that stuff to come through to you, that's on you. I mean, that's it. You know, it's all on you.
Okay, so
I'm waiting for Kenny to come back in here and say, Justin, you just ruined my reputation again. I really am waiting for that.
So I want to say something to Nick and to Barry, because they're both saying how they really want to go to Gettysburg. Listen, I'm hoping Gettysburg Bash goes on as planned, because listen, guys, if there's anything that I would want you guys to be able to experience, it would be the Gettysburg Bash.
It's life-changing. It's
awesome. It really is amazing. And I think that once you went there, especially, I mean, you have to visit the battlefields while you're there as well. But really, you meet so many amazing, cool ass people that are so down to earth and, you know, egos aside. And it's just a really nice place, and we help raise money for organizations.
Can I say something about that?
Absolutely.
Sure.
My first Gettysburg Battle, I think it was the second annual one. The first one I went to. And
what one was this one? Is this the fourth one?
I think it's the fourth one, because I've only missed one. So
yes, me too.
The Heroes for Hire, the people, you know, the wounded warriors, to see those kids, the sick kids they bring in, and to see that guy that does the Batman cosplay, that dude's energy gives me chills.
Right.
I just stand there like I listen to everything that man says, like everything going on, the whole energy of Gettysburg and that place and what Steve and Pam has done. Like it's deeply life changing, and that cause and all that stuff wrapped up into that is you got to go be a part of it. You will understand once you get there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna Gettysburg Battlefield. I'm trying to get the date up here.
24th, 25th, 26th of July.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to get to that.
Tattooed. You can get a cool Gettysburg tattoo while you're there too.
Yeah, you can get Tony. Hey, Tony's there. But I'm gonna say something else that we have.
On my arms.
Yeah,
I
can see it.
This one and this one. These were right after Parafest, though. But Tony
that's what I was gonna bring up was Parafest for us here in New York. I mean, that's the only real paranormal or Paracon or whatever you want to call it that we have up here, and it's going on. It's I don't even remember how many years now, but it was always so very small, but it's getting bigger and better, and I believe we're getting the same feel as Gettysburg because the people they're so great, and a lot of the people that were at Gettysburg are coming up here to the Rochester Winter Parafest, and we had moved the time because it was in the winter time, because we are the first Paracon to set them all off in the winter time, but we moved it back to March so that more people could come to the event, and I'm going to plug our own event because hey, it's a Paratalk Radio event. So Rochester Winter Parafest 2021. I think it's March 13th and 14th, something like that. So guys, you can always check that out. It's on paratalkradio.com as well as WLFE-DB.com and all that stuff. But you can always reach out to us and we can give you the dates. And I'm sure the closer we get, the more we'll be talking about. But I enjoy going to the Paracons no matter what it is. Like Unity in New Jersey, it was a good. I liked it. I love John. I love Chris. That it's a great
this weekend, but unfortunately,
it was. But a lot of these are being moved because of the COVID thing. So please, my point is that if you love some of these events, please check on them. Go look on your social media. They are rescheduling. So
New Jersey Para Unity was supposed to be this weekend, I believe, and unfortunately, it can't happen. But go and check on the dates because these people are good people as well. All the Paracons that have had to reschedule. We were fortunate, Teddy. We really were. We got that last weekend in February, beginning of March. So February 29th and March 1st, we got in right under the gun. Everything started shutting down 2.5 weeks later, 3 weeks later. So we got that in, but I feel terrible that we've had to reschedule so many things. And
thank you, Jamie.
Favorites, you guys.
Yeah.
Yay, Jamie! Yes, girl.
Yeah. Well, we're getting to that point. We have about 7 minutes left. Justin, is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, anything you want to plug, whatever.
Me and the gang at Interface Death released our first commercial paranormal documentary on our website. It's only available on our website right now. It's called Haunted Hartford City, a paranormal documentary. We had the keys to the paranormal locations in that town for over a 2-year period. And we released a 2-hour film on our website covering those locations, talking to the location owners and the people that have experienced, paranormal, had paranormal experiences there in our own. And if you want to help support us, we have Patreon, we have all that stuff, but to help us the most, at least renting the film, I think you can get it for $5 to rent it from our website for 3 days. You can download it for 15. The Blu-ray is $20. I think there may be a deal going on soon again, to decrease the price of that for $5. But that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to put our work out there and, do something that we could be proud of to help us do more films and do what we love. And, money unfortunately has to be a part of that because,
Right.
99.9% of the stuff is free that we do. But sometimes you have to go out on the limb and try things. And if you want to go check out that film, I would love for you guys to watch it. Just go to interfacedeath.net and check it out.
That's awesome. And we have Bill Davis, said he's from Jersey, but he also said it's an amazing film. Good. And Darren said, awesome documentary. Watch it, folks. You won't be disappointed. And that's what we like to hear.
Yeah. So Cindy, real quick, because I know we're getting short on time, what do you got coming up?
Tomorrow I am going to do another live on the Psychic Cindy. No, I'm not doing it on my website, thepsychiccindy.com. Listen, I have to work on my website. Don't tell me. I already know. But on The Psychic Cindy on YouTube, it will be there. It will be also on Psychic Cindy on Facebook.
It's on Paratalk Radio too, I believe, right?
I usually post a link on Paratalk Radio as well.
Okay. Cool.
So they can, and it's one of the two places. I can only stream in two places, which I've just made it possible for Facebook to be added because it was only YouTube. So I'm doing both of those places. And I think it'll be a little bit of a different thing because I normally just do psychic medium reading messages. I think I'm gonna pull some tarot cards tomorrow. I'm
awesome.
It's a little wild and crazy.
I love it how you put tarot cards are wild and crazy.
I'm wild and crazy tomorrow.
Tarot gone wild. Tune in tomorrow.
Listen, this is definitely the deck that will be tarot gone wild. See it? Can you guys see just what that picture shows?
Oh my.
Oh my goodness gracious. I'm dying to do the unboxing for this tarot deck.
There you go.
You can steal that idea if you want Cindy to have a show called Tarot Gone Wild. It's probably going to be a hit.
Just scantily.
Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to plug mine, so everybody's plugging their stuff. Talk with Teddy tomorrow is going to be an interesting show. We have something called The Man Cave. It's going to be Mr. Tony DeVille and Cliff Cameron. Basically, the way it's going to work with them tomorrow, as I guess, because they're, I don't even know how to explain this, but basically we're going to give them words and they're going to give us their opinions of those words. So it's going to be an interesting man cave and show tomorrow night on Talk with Teddy. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely look with Talk with Teddy on Facebook. Also, real quick, Friday night, I believe it is, or maybe it's Thursday night, Dead City Clown Collectives or Dead City Collective. We have the Entity on. He's one of their horror figures. He's going to be joining us, and I have a special co-host. She is one of my favorite drag queens of all time. Miss Jade is going to be joining us as well. So we're going to see. I guess she's coming as a vampire that day, so we'll see what happens. So,
that's so fun.
So, Talk with Teddy is a variety show, so we talk about everything and anything. So everybody's welcome to join us there as well. So,
fun.
All right, guys. Well, Justin.
Can I just say one thing? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go like and subscribe and hit the bell icon on The Psychic Cindy on YouTube so you can be notified of the lives coming up and for any videos that pop up. And then on Facebook, facebook.com/Psychic Cindy. Go like and follow so you can get notified of those lives as well there.
Right. And guys, you can always find really good shows like this as well. Some of them are kooky like mine, the variety show, but we have a lot of really cool shows on WLFE DB radio, or I always say that. It's WLFE-DB.com. I always throw that radio part in there. But John will kill me later. It doesn't matter. But you can always go check that stuff out as well. And, of course, please go and subscribe and like to our YouTube channel here for Paratalk Radio. Just put it up there in the YouTube page. Same with Talk with Teddy.
Pass this around. Share us. We like it.
As she always says.
Yes.
So, Justin, if you want to hang out in the back room with us here before you go, that would be great. We'd like to chat just a minute afterwards. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here on Paratalk Radio. And you know what we always say. Wherever there is darkness, there is always
the light.
Thank you for listening to Paratalk Radio with Ted Wolf and Psychic Cindy. Catch us next Monday for another fantastic guest. Please check out our show as well as others on the WLFE DB Radio Network. And remember, like, follow, and share with everyone.
Join us at WLFE-DB.com for upcoming shows and so much more.
Doo-doo.